your right to know. Your right to know. Your right to know what to do. Know what to see. Know what we have in store for you. It's your right to know. Hi guys, welcome to a special edition of Right to Know. I'm posting this both to the Right to Know page and the Slice page, and I'll tell you why. Because it has to do with underground tunnels that the United States has been so quick with our tax dollars to build. Funny part is it's all about saving them, not us. Anyway, I live up in Maine. In the past 2 years, 2.5 years, there's been a buddy of mine lives out beyond Conway, and he's talking, or Bartlett rather, but he's talking about how many cement trucks go by his house every day, and we're talking truck after truck after truck after truck after truck, day and night. For 2 years. Well, I believe that we found the problem. The problem is that in Maine, our governor was bragging about, that's Governor LePage, a deal with the U.S. government in a missile silo of some sort. As it turns out, that was not a missile silo. There is an underground facility going in, and there's a tunnel that goes right underneath the White Mountains and comes up in that. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and look at the proof that goes with this. First, I'll show you some maps that were drawn. Also, I have found a map of varying intensities of UFO sightings in the same areas as where these installations are supposed to enter and exit from the Earth. So I'm starting to put a correlation between the two events, and when I show you the maps, you're going to be like, really? So anyway, let's move on to that section, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And then I'll also have an interview with a truck driver who says he has driven underneath the ground and came out in Maine. It's kind of crazy. The facility that he's going into at the point of them stopping him and asking him these questions is called Subtropolis, and it's a big 30 billion square foot storage facility underground. But there's always been a theory that part of that continued on into a network of tunnels. So whether or not that's the case, I don't know. But you can make your own decision after looking at all the evidence that we have. Okay? So, let's get on with that, and then we'll discuss it after. Well, as you know, underground tunneling is not new. It happened in ancient times. We've been tunneling here in this country, in this generation anyway, since the 40s. Has got real intense, and the president always had his little tram car there. I'm sure it looks a little different today, but this is back in the day, back before they started hiding everything. I don't know if there ever was a true time of that, but some earlier boring machines were not so sleek as today's. This one looks a little complicated. And then you got, of course, the new issue. Interesting to note that most countries in the world have at least one of these available to them, and they do things like in like Norway, they have these water bases, underwater. Well, the sub bases are different, but this is a you can drive a military ship right in there. And let's look at some maps. So we'll go look at this map. This is supposed entrance and exits of the tunnel systems that are in place in the country. Some are probably not what they think it is. They might, but you'll notice that there's spurs to Maine up my way, and I'm pretty much all over the country. Interestingly, look at the groupings here, and then look at this next map of UFO anomalies and such. The pattern is remarkably similar, and I found it quite interesting that they came together so closely. Alright, so let's go look at something else right now.
Well, it would seem some very strange happenings are going on. First, I remind you to go back in history and remember Donald Rumsfeld's comment the day before the attack of 9/11, where he said that the Pentagon had lost $2.3 trillion, and then just fortunately, then the Pentagon was destroyed the next day on 9/11, 2001. Well, I believe a lot of that money went to go to spending for certain operations for the CIA, FEMA, Homeland Security, and a lot of that was building underground military complex. Fast forward to August of this year, if you remember that DC that happened, Virginia, Washington DC, and also in Colorado, there's evidence pointing to that not being an earthquake as much as it was probably a nuclear explosion done by the good guys, the Black Ops military, who found out about the evil plans of the globalists that were planning on killing off a huge percentage of the population and going and running and hiding in the military underground complex. So what they've done is cut off some escape routes during that time. And the reason I say it was probably nuclear as opposed to an earthquake is the seismograph showed that there were no primary waves associated with these two explosions, and they were very shallow, and also in an area that doesn't receive many earthquakes. Now, the latest report that I'm getting is long about September 20th, 21st, 22nd of this year, there were at least 13 very powerful underground explosions rocking the United States Midwest, and they registered as small shallow earthquakes with the USGS. Many of the underground high explosive detonations registered as 2.6 magnitude earthquakes. So what they're saying is the U.S. military is sealing off the tunnels so that the globalists and the U.S. ghost government, i.e. the Federal Reserve bankers, FEMA, the DHS, CIA, they can't run and hide from what they're predicting to occur here long about September 27th, give or take a day or two of this year, here just real soon. Officers in the U.S. military didn't seem to be aware of Obama and the globalist plan converging on Denver for a DEFCON 1 meeting, meaning nuclear war imminent. A cocked pistol drill. Email was sent to the U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigations on September 21st of 2011 to alert them to a planned false flag nuclear detonation on U.S. soil somewhere in the American Midwest. The U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigations were the ones who raided the Citadel gun and safe store in Las Vegas on August 21st to recover stolen nuclear warhead detonators. They were the ones who intercepted the transfer of improvised nuclear warheads by the CIA in the tunnels that connected the deep underground military bases on August 23, 2011. The impoverished nuclear bombs, the W-54 style warheads, They were being transferred via those tunnels to Washington, D.C. and New York City when they detonated during a firefight between U.S. military personnel and the criminal CIA, DHS, FEMA operatives. It would appear that the U.S. military had a deadline to meet and has already damaged, destroyed, or sealed at least 13 underground tunnels or bases, and perhaps their incentive was the fact that Obama, his shadow government, and the globalists had made plans to save their own hides while leaving the rest of us to fend for ourselves.
Yeah. Goes all the way to Washington, D.C., huh? Goes all the way to Washington, D.C. Yeah, you Homeland Security? Yeah. How far have you taken this down to, how far have you actually ran a load?
From out of here.
100 miles?
Maine.
Up to Maine?
Close to Maine.
No shit. How many miles do you think that is? Man, that's unbelievable. Not to mention, I heard there's one that goes all the way to Colorado, right? Unbelievable. What do you think you're hauling? Any idea?
Crap.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Crap makes all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
You don't really know.
Yeah. I know there's been a lot of military stuff being hauled around lately, that's for sure, huh?
Yeah, we deliver to military.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. 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 Well, I appreciate I heard there's water supply, food supply, everything's in there.
Huh?
Yeah, unbelievable.
But you don't get no cell phone service.
No. Peace, brother. I mean, basically, you got an underground roadway system here that runs all the way to Maine, to Washington, D.C., to Colorado. It's fully stocked.
Okay, well, there you have it. That's some pretty powerful stuff there. Between all the the truck driver and saying he goes to Maine through the tunnel, well, there you go. I rest my case. Is it real? Is it? I know that the place where he was stopped is at Subtropolis, and that's not close to here. But anyway, come to your own conclusions. Look up Subtropolis in the Wikipedia, and it'll come right up, and you'll actually know right where it is. So anyway, there seems to be tunnels that come out of that, and you've heard other testimony. So anyway, I got to go kill my dog. So have a great day, and thanks for checking out Right to Know. Don't forget, subscribe, share, and like.
It's your right to know. Your right to know. Your right to know what to do. Know what to see. Know what